So we're here now, talking about
Yep.
stuff.
Talking about the 40K and then some of the stuff that's been going on with the internet
Yes.
and generally making fun of the things that have been going on with the internet. But oh, I've had a lot of interesting messages this week.
I bet.
Anyway, you introduce yourself, Alex, because I would refer to you as an artist that does a lot of like
Yeah, that's what I.
wargaming related content.
Yeah, that's what I mostly am these days. I'm an artist. I do a lot of Warhammer content. Also do some Turnip 28 content, and some D&D stuff. I'm developing my own project called Junkyard Planet, um, which has been kind of put on the back burner because I am currently taking part in two larger scale secret projects that will be revealed in or leading up to October. But I cannot
Ooh.
get into more detail. But I'm
I mean,
very,
that's fine. I'm not going to push you because I
yeah,
didn't
but
know they
I'm very
existed.
excited about them. I was more reminding
Hey.
myself not to say anything more about it.
Are you winding something up in the background? What did you
Oh,
just
did you
do?
hear that? My chair is broken and makes noise. Let me know. I will
Oh, I
try
thought
to.
you were like turning the crank on the side of your head to like keep the thoughts in.
No,
Um,
no,
no.
the cylinder in my chair collapsed, so I supported it with a very large PVC pipe, but now it makes squeaky noises.
That's a better idea than what I did, which is just sit down there with my knees near my chest, going, "This is how tall my chair is now."
See, I'm 6.5 feet tall, and if I did that, I would probably end up in the hospital after a month of use.
Oh, this was like happened in December, and I still haven't replaced my chair. I'm not quick on the move.
Right. Oh, later
So
I could share with you my junky solution.
that doesn't work. Okay.
I mean, it works well for keeping the chair up. It doesn't work for not being loud and annoying.
That's true. I mean, I could just buy a new chair at this point. It's just stubbornness.
Yeah.
Uh, so you mostly, from what I've seen, you mostly work with the orc stuff.
I yes. The I have always been just kind of in my various creative endeavors very into like the junkyard Mad Max uh ramshackle kind of
Yeah,
aesthetic and also method for assembling things when I'm doing like sculpture work. And also the orcs just have a fantastic humor that I really love. Um, and
yeah. I mean,
also just there's a shitload of people drawing Space Marines, and while yes, I'll draw the occasional wide Space Marine. I love drawing an orc. I love drawing an orc with his big angry tusks and a weird spiky weapon. It's fun.
yeah. I mean, I entirely agree. And I don't think I've said this very often, but I actually came into 40K through orcs
Hmm.
because they were like this undeniable thing that no one could say actually other people do that at the time, because this is quite a while back. I was like, I like those guys that can take any kit that anyone else has, stick things on it, and say it's theirs. I
I
love this humor.
I mean honestly, if they reintroduced like proper looted vehicle rules, I would consider properly getting back into playing the game again. I loved running my orc army with a looted basilisk. It was so absurd and fun.
Yeah, one of the first tournaments I played in at Warhammer Worlds, like Games Workshop HQ. The army we faced, one half was Tau, and then the other half was Orc, but all of the Tau vehicles had tiny little grots and things hanging off them to make them look like they were, in
Yeah.
fact, just an extension of the Tau army, the Orc army. And it was wonderful. And I might be misremembering quite how the mechanics of it worked because it's going back a decade, but it was just so charming, and
Yeah.
it's
You see
something
that
I love
occasionally that
seeing.
people make the full grot armies that are just subbed for like Tau or Imperial Guard.
Yeah, one of the first kits I did, and it led to a lot of, I wouldn't say arguments, I would say discussions with my ex about my inability to just build something like it comes out of the box, was I bought two Dakka jets and I put all of the wings on one Dakka jet. And then the other one, I took two pods from a Star Wars racer, might have been Anakin's pod racer,
Yeah,
and stuck them on instead of the wings. So you've got this tiny little plane body and these enormous jet engines. And
that's
obviously, if you started this thing off, it would just spin around in circles and like grind itself into the floor.
yeah,
But it would work for orcs.
yeah,
And every time I got bits and pieces, I would just stick them onto that kit. I still have it. I've never finished it
yeah.
because I've never finished gluing things to it.
But I mean,
But yeah,
you gotta have somewhere to stick all them bits.
yeah, it's got bits of Ogren stuff. It's got bits of bikes. It's got real bits of cabling that I just picked up off the floor when I was at work, and I love it.
Yeah,
But no, everyone knows me as like, oh, the guard person. It's like, no, I actually really like the tiny green men. I just don't talk about it.
yeah, my first model ever was a Viper jet bike. And then my first army was a Tau army. And then
How long ago
finally,
was this?
hmm?
How long ago was this? I'm like trying to judge whether that was cheese or just.
No, it probably was. I mean, it wasn't me because I have never played competitive 40K. I have always just played the kind of 40K you play in a basement with your six friends. So there's no
Yeah.
meta beyond what you and your friends can afford. Um, uh,
Or you're just like, well, I've not finished building it, so imagine it has this weapon stuck
yeah,
on it.
yeah. Hey, turns out after I built this, I found out that ion cannons suck. So we're gonna pretend this is a railgun.
Yeah. Or
Uh,
when I built my orc planes, I didn't know that I didn't know what you see, what you get as a rule because I'd never read the rule book. So I put every single orc gun on this plane and all of the bombs and all of the missiles. And people are like, you can't have that. You have to pick one of them. I was like, do you think orcs restrict themselves in
I
such a peasant manner? Of course they don't.
It would be a real balancing and readability problem, but I would love for the orc vehicles to all just be like, here's like a kind of chassis, and then just here's stuff you can put on it. And you can, as long as you keep paying points for it, you can put any combination of garbage on it you want.
Have you ever built the flash kits orcs with the guns? That's basically what they give you. Is those models are holding a box, like a long
Yeah,
oblong box, and then you stick the muzzle, the fuel, and the sides on that you want. You like customize your orc gun, and it's one of the cleverest, least praised kits the workshop do. Is that
yeah,
it's build a gun just like an orc would do it.
I love that kit. I love the Luda kit. That era of like that big orc redux they did, that was like right before and right after that. That was when I like the real heyday of me modeling and playing Warhammer.
Yeah, like I don't think my orc army ever reached the table because I made all these extraordinary things, and then the rules in seventh were you have to have this many HQs and this many troops, and it's like I don't want to include those. I just want to use planes.
Yeah,
I don't care that I have to have 20 little grots that I'm not interested in
yeah. My
to be able to use the bit I care about, and I just didn't do it.
yeah. I was playing orcs like end of fourth, beginning of fifth, and
Yeah,
like I had so much. I had like a real truck heavy, knob heavy army. It was just
well, I
bunches
love
of
this already.
knobs and trucks. Um, and so I had like two of the official trucks, one truck that was made out of a die cast Hummer, one truck that was made out of a the chassis of an Eldar Falcon. It was a good time.
See, this is where you could use all those really trashed Imperial Guard vehicles someone's given you to sell.
Yeah. If I got back,
It's a
yeah,
crime.
Uh, yeah,
Uh,
it would be a good place for
okay, so moving away from the plastic and stuff,
that.
what is your like? What is it that like keeps you interested in the setting? What is the thing that you just keep looking back at that thing and you're like, I love this so much.
Yeah. There really is something about 40K. I don't know if it's just like where it hit me in my childhood. Like it was, I think sixth grade, my buddy Jack brought in a unpainted Chaos Land Raider into lunch in his backpack. And he took it out in the cafeteria and was like, guys, look at this hobby. And we were all just like,
What age is sixth grade? I'm sorry.
uh, let me get this right. 11 to 12 years old.
Oh, right. Because over here we have a completely different age system for the schools. So I was
Yeah.
like, hmm?
And
Were
we were
you
all just like,
8?
I mean, the Chaos Land Raider, especially back then, was one of the coolest kits.
Is that the one that came with like a fence post on the back of it, like
Yeah,
all the spikes? And
yeah.
how did he transport?
I
How
think
did
he
he
had it
bring
like
that without
wrapped up.
breaking it?
I think he had it like wrapped up in foam, and I don't think he had maxed out the
Oh,
amount of spikes all over it. Um, but we were all like, "Oh, holy shit, we got to do this!" And his mom was an art teacher, so like she showed us the rest of his army because his mom was buying Chaos Space Marines and painting them as Black Legion because she thought it was fun, and being like, "Hey, you want to see if your friends want to play this game with you?"
oh my God! So your friend's mother was a drug dealer, basically.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
got all his friends in like the first hit's free.
yeah,
Oh
because
no.
yeah, his mom was into just like the collecting and the painting, and then
Yeah.
another kid in our friend group had two older brothers who played 40K, but also mostly Battlefleet Gothic.
Oh.
Um, which by the time we were like, oh, what's this game? It was impossible to find the miniatures for that, so we never really got into it.
Yeah, and I think they only ever printed the rulebook once or twice.
Yeah,
It was pretty hard to find, and if you didn't know someone who had a copy of it, well, tough shit.
yeah,
Pre-eBay, fuck you, you know.
yeah.
Uh,
And
I
then
mean,
just like it's just wormed by like it's just like people there's a lot of things to make fun of about 40K and a lot of stupid things about it and a lot of dumb decisions they've made over the years. So, but as far as just it's a universe where the rule of cool is the priority and just
yeah,
whatever and it's as open as you can make it and the rules that there are soft and have a million exceptions and holes in them so you can just
yeah,
do whatever the fuck you want in it and it's just like whenever I find my brain spinning it's always like ooh what's a cool space marine chapter I could come up with, what's a
I,
cool
I
orc thing that you could build, stuff like that.
the most orc thing about 40K is the way that the 40K lore functions, because there are things that everyone believes are true and everyone loves about 40K that have never been written down. It's just become headcanon collectively, and we accept it, and I love that part of it.
Yeah,
The majority. Someone asked me like, "What book do I read to learn about this?" And I was like, there is no one 40K book, and when you say that out loud, it feels very, very silly.
yeah. The other day there was a conversation that was happening of like could you make a Warhammer movie? And I was like, I
Make a
don't
what?
really
Sorry.
want to see Games Workshop and whatever Hollywood studio they got on board's interpretation of the Warhammer 40,000 universe for the silver screen. I want
Did you say
the,
movie, Alex? Because
yeah,
the mic cut out. Okay.
sorry, a movie. And
Yeah.
I like all that can do nothing but disappoint me.
I
The
mean, the World
Warhammer
of
that
Warcraft.
exists in my head.
The World of Warcraft movie is a fantastic example of why not to do this. You
Yeah,
know, you can tell a thematic story that sort of has something to do with the setting, but you can't. How would you even do this?
Yeah.
I think for all the criticism and all, if we ignore all the IP chasing and the drama that came around it, the way that Warhammer Plus treats putting the stories on the screen, which is to tell lots of tiny stories, I think they've got that right.
Yeah, I think that's probably the smartest way to do it.
They've made like an anthology rather than trying to make a film,
Yeah.
and that works compared to here's the one 3 hour chunk that explains everything. Like, it just wouldn't work. Am I hallucinating that there was an Eisenhorn series on the horizon and then just no one's spoken about it ever again?
There's always little rumors and like something in development and they've signed somebody. And for a
I thought
while, yeah,
Netflix got it.
people were talking about doing an Eisenhorn, and I know they've talked about doing like an Ultramarines thing. It never gets out of development hell.
Ah, apparently there was something. Oh, no, that's a video by Valrak rather than a video from a company doing it. Oh, all of the results on Google are Valrak. Okay, so I don't know if it's still happening because, as much as I respect him, it is his job to keep talking about content, whether or not it's,
Yeah.
you know, actually about to happen, and he needs to make the thumbnails interesting. So I don't know how many of these are news reports. Uh,
Yeah. No idea.
there's nothing else on here apart from Reddit, YouTube, and people who are fans already talking about it. Yeah. It's a good 2 years since this came out. Like the news about it, I mean.
Yeah. I
It's the furthest it ever went, and if I was being very cynical, I would say it was like an interest tester that they dropped all that news. Like, are people
yeah.
gonna like it? And then no one really gave too much of a shit. And they were like, actually, we would prefer The Witcher with Henry Cavill. Let's obsess over this for a bit. And it's like, oh, okay, I guess.
Yeah.
Uh, so, your favorite faction, is it Orcs or is it God?
It's Orks. Um
Hey,
as far as like I in most settings I feel like a kinship with the weird monster faction, the weird monster faction of idiots. Whatever that is in any given faction, I'm like, yes, I love you. Don't get me wrong, I do
my
like the
children,
guard. And I
yeah.
think of all the Warhammer content, I think the God's Ghost stuff is the best that
Hmm.
I've read. Um, my favorite books are the two spin-offs of it, Titanicus and Double Eagle. I think they're very good. Um,
I like that they've given one author the time to be consistent.
yeah,
Like, I think that's missing from things like the Horus Heresy mainline series. If they alternate authors, you've never got the time for there to be consistency between the. I mean, there can be consistency because they're obviously following like a law bible, but they haven't got the. Oh, you know what I mean, like the run through of
yeah,
one person working on it.
and also kind of like you were talking about in uh, the way they're handling the Warhammer Plus series.
Yeah,
God's Ghost is a comparatively small story. It's one regiment
yeah,
in one theater of war, and yes, in the most recent books, it's getting slightly bigger because the I don't want to give away spoilers, but slightly bigger scale of their involvement in that theater of war. But it's one theater of war. There's no implication that it really that even if like there was a total rout of either side in the theater of war, really it would have that much of an impact on the status quo of the universe at large.
yeah.
Um,
It's a
you know,
personal story.
yeah, it's not like, if the Sabbath worlds fall, Chaos gets a direct line to Terra and gets to kill the Emperor. It's just a faction out in the corner, it's a fight, and that always feels very important because like that's what makes Warhammer different than Star Wars is everywhere is at war all the time.
Yeah, and like if those worlds fall, it'll suck for the people there, but it
Yeah.
won't turn the tide of anything else. And it's
Like
like it it outlines kind of the futility of the 40K system. Like, there is no way for it to actually end.
Yeah, there's no big, we destroyed the Emperor and the Death Star, and the Empire will soon fall, and we've won forever. It's just
That
a bunch of little fights in the dirt.
that is why it's difficult to film as well, because you can't give Hollywood a win
Yeah,
for either side. You can tell a story, but you can't give a conclusive victory for like one half or the other.
that's always been my just like dream blockbuster movie is you film an alternate ending to Star Wars or Lord of the Rings and you just sneak it into like 20% of theaters where like where like fucking orcs catch Frodo and Sam on the Black Fields. Uh fucking Aragorn gets his head beaten in by the troll and just everyone dies. Or,
I don't think people would like that film, Alex.
neither do I, but I would just especially if you
You
just
just want to punish 20% of the population.
I just imagine the just I don't know why it's always been this like that would rule. It would be such an
No,
emotional. It would be art, and not like feel good art, not like art that makes you smile and go home and go woohoo, but just it would make you be like, oh my god, oh my god.
oh boy, what would you do that as like re-airing them, or would you do that as a completely new film set? You know, like people come out and they go, "Oh, I've not seen this for 10 years. I'm going to go and watch it," and then come away absolutely destroyed.
I think you got to do it as a new one, like like
Oh,
they're coming out first time in theaters. Everyone's ready to see the end of this big epic. They've been waiting for the last one to come out. It's been a decade since the first one came out, and just utter heartbreak.
like the Twilight films end by just the main character falling down the stairs and breaking their neck. Oh dear. I mean, I don't actually know whether the Twilight films have ended. This is how much I pay attention to that franchise.
I don't know.
I don't know. I assume so because the guy who's now playing Batman can
Yeah,
talk about them
I think it
dismissively.
ended a good long time ago.
I don't know. I'm old.
So am I.
Oh, okay. Well, I said I would touch on the shit that's been happening this week, and I apologize to anyone who's actually listening to this right now. Who is listening? Oh, that's
We
a few
have
of you.
3 people who are not us.
Hey, well, hopefully this won't distress anybody. I wrote that open letter to Games Workshop, and the response online has been wonderfully positive from everyone I know, and people are sharing it around. And the flip side of that is I spent about half an hour this afternoon explaining to a policeman how this letter of "could you please hire proofreaders" resulted in me getting a significant amount of death threats
Oh,
and
the police actually got back to you on
abuse.
that?
Oh yeah, they phoned me. They came around to my house, and I didn't answer the door because I was in my pants, and I didn't want to have that conversation to someone face to face. Also, because I didn't know it was the police, I thought it was a postman.
Hmm.
They don't have like some kind of special police knock where they're like, "This is the police." Actually, open the door. So I assumed it was Amazon, and I didn't open the door. And then they rang me, and they were like, "We tried to knock on your door, and you weren't home." And I didn't go, "Oh, I was home. I was just in my underwear." I was like, "Oh no, sorry, I was asleep." And then I had to explain to this very patient, very kind policeman how having an opinion about the content of books led to this. Uh, and I think he was slightly confused that I was not as concerned as I could be over everything happening. And I was like, I am filing this police report on the basis that if something did happen, it would be incredibly stupid for me to go, well, I did get a death threat and not have mentioned it to the police. And also, if other people are going through this, they should go to the police because they would assumedly be more upset than I am, and they should be taken seriously. But it hasn't actually got to me in any way, shape, or form, other than it being a particular waste of my time for it to be happening.
Yeah, it's kind of like how if someone breaks into your car, you need to get a police report to get the insurance claim, but
Yeah.
you have no expectation that the cops are actually going to solve it.
I mean, the guy
It's
on
just like a matter of
yeah,
course of like, hey, just let you know.
yeah, this did happen. The guy on the phone did say that, look, inside the UK, we can do these things if it's someone inside the UK. And I was like, well, I'm relatively certain most of this is not UK based because, for one, some of the people have been stupid enough to use their real names and their real email accounts, and we looked at whether they were in the UK. They were not. Uh,
Get Interpol to start kicking down people's doors.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure if the police turn up to the guy who sent me some of the worst emails and go, "Can you not do that?" He'd be like, no," and then continue doing it. Uh, it's what are they going to do? Take his keyboard away and be like, naughty. And they explained to me all the things that could happen within the UK if this person was caught. And I was like, I know who he is. He's in Australia. So, no. Uh, but yeah, this poor police guy had to sit there and I went, expressed a fairly mild opinion on the internet. And then a bunch of people decided I had said something else entirely. And now they're mad at me and sending me death threats. And he went, is the website still up? And I was like, yes, because there was no real reason to take it down.
Yeah,
uh,
they weren't that scary.
yeah, and he like gradually coaxed out of me that it was a wargaming company and not just random, you know, video game company. And I was like, it is like the same sort of culture that gamers will just shout at each other, but they don't realize they are going too far with it.
Yeah,
And I think these people thoroughly do realize that they're going too far with it, considering some of the things they sent me.
yeah. The
Uh,
objective is to get you to shut up.
yeah, I mean, the reason I haven't been posting them on my Twitter and I haven't been posting them on social media is
You don't want to give
I don't want
people
to,
who haven't had the
well, for
idea
one,
yet.
yeah, and I don't want to create that kind of environment around my Twitter where people don't want to read it because it's just
Yeah,
seeing this abuse. It's always been a space that I have control over, and I was like, I'm not going to start posting this up.
yeah.
I have
That
gi
makes sense to me.
I have given screenshots to a few people who have shared them on their feeds through their choice. Uh, I'm still not going to do it. And if people are going, oh, well, you can't prove it's happening, it's like I don't need to prove it to you.
I think it
The
wouldn't be the
people,
worst idea to when it's all over, when you've decided it's enough signatures and you've sent the letter and you've closed the form, to compile them and either make a single post or make a post on your website and link to it and be like, this is what I received
this is
for
what I went through
for
for the sake
for
of
just
having an
saying,
opinion.
hey guys, just you might not have
Uh,
thought of that.
I am hoping that Goonhammer have changed the page where they're linking to me, where they've said that I want the book rewriting, or rather the passage in the book rewriting. Uh, and I was like, no, no, please, for the love of God, don't tell people that I want the book redoing.
Well, that's what's pretty
Oh,
mental to me about the whole is, at least from my end, your actions seem extremely low stakes. You know, you have identified a
yeah,
problem that has larger cultural implications, and you've said, hey, here's a letter I'm writing to let the company know, hey, you guys might not have realized this. I hope you didn't realize this. And in the future, this is what you can do to avoid it. And I'd like you to just consider that. And
yeah,
then you've said, hey, if you agree with this letter, you can write your name down as well. And a lot of people, and frankly, some people on the side of who would ostensibly agree, and the progressive side who would like to see a more progressive Games Workshop, a more progressive setting. They're Some of them have even been like, "Hey, we're making mountains out of molehills. We're going crazy on this." And it's like, and then the other side, vastly over exaggerating. Oh, they're asking for all this unreasonable stuff, and they're doing all this
yeah,
crazy stuff. It's like it's a small letter for a mild ask. It's not asking for a boycott. It's not marching in the street. It's not
Yeah,
saying burn your armies on YouTube.
it's
Uh,
it's not saying pull this book and republish it with a corrected sentence.
yeah, it's
It
just,
was
hey guys.
I don't expect them to do what I'm asking. I don't expect them to hire someone. What I wanted to do was be like, we have noticed that you did this. Can you not do it again? That is the lowest stake that there could possibly be, which is, could you take more care?
Yeah, I would
You
not be
know,
surprised if especially if they want to kind of hold true to some of the statements they've made in the past couple of years, if they integrate just some manner of quality control.
it'll be running it past like the token person that works there. They'll get some,
Yeah,
they'll get a lady to do it or a white person to do it or something like that. And it'll be, oh, we've got a quality checker now, and it's someone who's very well meaning, but not in any of the demographics that are actually affected by this. And I know that if that's the biggest change that happens, but at least they can say that they're trying. But the abuse I've received has been directed at you. Some of it was like, you can never be a real space marine. And for starters, I don't want to be a space marine. I don't care about space marines. I wrote that letter for the people who do, and for the people who have felt hurt by things in the past that are in the law but are not my area to speak about. There are racial things, there are cultural things that I can't speak about as like a white British person and say this isn't okay because I don't have, I'd be pulling from nothing to talk about this, but I can. This was the example that I could. Uh, this was the one thing that I could actually talk about, and people seem to have hitched on to the thing that I'm talking about more than the reason I'm talking about it, which was
yeah.
we noticed. Could you do better? There's a huge amount of racist abuse against black people, and I'm like, I don't know why people think I'm black. It could be that they skimmed my
I
profile picture, which is I
I
don't
don't
know.
think that they think you are black or
There
any.
are plenty photographs of me holding things on my Twitter, so
I
who
I
knows
think
what?
I think it's just that that kind of racism is much more because also I've seen some of the abuse you've put up with, and a lot of it's anti-Semitic. And I think the
Yeah,
anti-Semitism and the anti-black racism is much more of a meme in that circle than
yeah,
others. Like they're not putting a lot of thought and effort into this, and that's the lowest effort. Uh, that's the lowest hanging fruit for them.
yeah. I mean, I showed you some of these, and it wasn't to laugh
Yeah,
at the joke they were telling, but Alex has seen some of these things that people had written, and it's people repeating things that they've clearly seen or heard other people say, and then getting it wrong. Because I know the original source of some of, well, no, I know the original sentences,
yeah,
and they've just mangled them. It's like that doesn't make any sense. You've just thrown some words together that you think. It's like listening to a 5-year-old repeat a joke that their parents have told you.
yeah. I
Uh,
mean, aside from the people who spent a large amount of time and sent in like 20 separate abusive entries to your
yeah,
thing. I think for most of them, it's a very like, haha, making it on this, and just a quick little,
yeah,
what's the first asinine thing their brain shits out to put in there. What I'm
yeah. I
saying
mean,
is
it does.
send more creative death threats. That's what I'm
No,
saying.
don't send
No,
any death threats, Alex. No, don't do that. Just, I don't know. Don't do it at all. Save
yeah,
your time and
yeah. Save
paint a
everyone
figure.
involves time.
Paint a fucking miniature and do something. Like go outside, throw some dice, and get it out of your system without writing, weirdly badly spelt slurs on an internet form that are just going to get deleted because I have an auto filter on my sheet. Uh, the point where there were like two of us filtering through this, going, do they even know how to spell half the things they're writing? But the fact that there's some poor police bastard gonna have to read this and be like, "What the hell is this?"
Uh, I mean, I'm fine with wasting the police's time.
I have no comment. I have zero comment on misuse of police time, but I think it is a misuse of police time to make them read like,
I am
oh,
very,
everyone thinks I'm a trans woman as well. Every single a bit of abuse I've had thinks I'm female, and
again,
they think
I
that,
think it's more of just a that is the target du jour, unless
yeah,
specifically trying to target you.
I've no, but I've had the ones on Twitter quote tweeting me that say like,
Uh,
oh, the ones that got removed because I watched them get removed in real time. I didn't report them because I'd click on the quote retweet and be like, who's this? Oh, and then by the time I could tab off that screen or do something about it, the account would be down because of the amount of slurs they'd used in that tweet. The
wow,
Twitter system had actually recognized that they'd done something wrong by the time it went down. And I
that's
was like,
amazing.
wow, it's it's I've never seen it happen in real time like that.
Yeah,
And it makes me wonder whether there is actually a filtration system on Twitter.
there
That's
is
that's
because not bigoted things, but I have gotten an automatic 12-hour ban from Twitter before for
oh, I've
telling
had the
telling my congressperson to punch another congressperson in the face.
I've had people on Twitter don't send tweets like this message, and it was like, shut the fuck up. And I was like, I'm relatively certain that they do quite often send that to each other.
Yeah.
But that was the first time I'd seen it this year, was me telling someone to shut the fuck up. Um, that wasn't over this. That was over someone saying that people would be less fat if they painted miniatures or something. I don't know.
Not exactly
It,
a high.
no, it
I,
wasn't a high concept, and it
that,
wasn't a. It,
it's, it's just very confusing.
I think it was something like if people spent less money on food and more money on miniatures, there would be less obese people or something. And I was like, I'll be quiet. That doesn't even make any sense. Yeah, that was why I got the
It's
people
not,
don't say that on Twitter. And I was like, they do. They absolutely do tell
it's not
people to
how
shut the fuck up.
any of that works.
No, no,
Yeah.
nobody knows how that works.
Honestly,
The person who said it doesn't.
that's what's stunning is how fucking stupid. Like just from just basic like reading comprehension and like understanding of how the world works.
I think my favorite double down on any of this abuse was a guy sent me an email and it was a string of slurs. I would struggle to read a word from it that wasn't a slur. And I went, hey, uh, no. I didn't reply with piss yourself on that one. I said something like, hey, so I don't want female space marines, you fucking idiot. And he went, lies, and then came back to me and spouted a load of stuff. And I was like, okay, you want to stop doing that from your main email address that has your name above it? And he replied with, I don't care, I'm already on a watch list for, oh fuck, what was it? It was something like a watch list for being an Islamic terrorist or something. And I was like, okay, no, you aren't, because I've just looked you up and you live in Australia. Because your email address is the same one for your LinkedIn and your YouTube. Uh, absolute clown shit. But yeah, this is. I don't want people to up the ante and like send me worse stuff. I would just like them to find a more constructive use of their time.
Yeah, and genuinely, like it's fun to share stuff and talk, have these conversations online. But I've when I was truly the most like in the hobby, um, doing Warhammer 40,000, spending a lot of money on Games Workshop products and spending a lot of time building and painting and playing with miniatures. I had the most fun with my 8 friends in my friend John's basement playing a very dumb version of 40K that knowing more about it now was pretty wrong on a couple layers on a ping pong table than I've ever had. Uh, you know, the rare couple of times I've gone to a store to play it on a table with a random other person. Like
Yeah,
I like if you want to have your weird version of, or not weird because it's the mainstream version, but your version of Warhammer, or your version of, if you want to get a,
also,
if you want to hang out with your weird bigot friends in your weird bigot basement and play with your weird Nazi armies, fucking sure, dude. Like, just I don't want to look at it.
it's the people going, gatekeep these people out of the hobby, and it's like you can't. I am
Yeah,
here. I am producing things. I am the
yeah,
progenitor of one of the stupidest memes on the internet that people don't realize is mine.
yeah.
Uh,
You,
like you can't remove me from the hobby.
no, but they
There is
can
nothing to
not let you
remove,
into
you
their
know.
friend group and not play Warhammer with you.
Oh
That's
no, I don't get to play with the people who
yeah,
are
like
don't not making anything.
nobody wants that. Like I don't. That's the thing.
Like,
Like
what
there's
are they
lots of
protecting? It's so weird.
yeah,
Uh, I've gone so badly sideways on this. Yeah, that's just it. These people go and keep this person out. It's like you do realize that I literally mail stuff that people use to produce and edit their armies pretty much every day a week when I'm in work. I help people do stuff. I am a resource that people use. You can't get rid of that. And even if I wasn't, even if I was just somebody who liked looking at pictures, or my sole contribution to anything was to enjoy it, you still can't remove
yeah,
that.
and that's fine. Like
Yeah. It's such an insane. I think like I think Christina raised it, that she was like, people think that because they've bought something, the hobby belongs to them. And it's like, the hobby belongs to Games Workshop, and even Games Workshop clearly can't choose who's in their hobby, because otherwise they wouldn't choose to have all the
well,
people screaming at each other,
yeah.
because they're not spending any money, they're just here,
I
you know.
I don't know that we have time left in this day. I do have some disagreements with the philosophy that the hobby belongs solely to Games Workshop, because it's been decades of people making things on their own, and it's a whole thing predicated on allowing people to make their own shit.
Well,
But
that's it. They hand you the
yeah,
coloring book to fill it in yourself, but they
yeah,
still can stop making the canonical coloring books, you know.
yeah,
Like, I mean more that these people can't stop you from walking into a shop.
yeah.
They can't physically blockade you from going on the web store or painting something in your own house. There was no way for them to actually
And their
own it.
their
Yeah.
version of trying to do that just sucks. Like their answer, because that's their goal, right? Their goal is to say, hey, people who are kinds of people who we don't like don't get to play our game or talk about our lore or make art about our lore, right? That's their objective. And so their strategy for achieving that is just make every space for that hobby as toxic and shitty as possible. It's so we're gonna sit in our game store and make the worst fucking jokes you can imagine, so that if any woman or uh, gay person or person of color walks into that hobby shop and overhears it, they know they're not safe and have to leave. Uh,
Yep.
it's make our Facebook group just wall to wall dumbass asshole memes. It's like,
Heresy memes. Anytime
yeah,
someone
it's like,
posts something that isn't quite normal,
it,
well, not normal, it isn't quite
yeah,
canon.
it's like filling your lawn with like liquid shit so the neighborhood kids don't run around on it. Like, cool, dude, you've made a lawn full of shit. Have fun with that.
Yeah, you've shit in your own paddling pool. Are you going to sit in there as well? Oh, you are.
Yeah,
Okay.
like, it just,
Um,
I don't see them.
you don't have to like what progressive people are making. You just don't have to comment on it if you don't like it. No one cares about your opinion. Nobody nobody needs to know that you wouldn't use a pink Space Marine. Nobody needs to hear that actually, you know, my little commissar wouldn't draw a love heart in his book because he'd get told off. It's like, I don't care, I've still done it.
Yeah.
You
But again,
what is
it's
your
a pretty
point?
wide open fucking universe with a lot of
Oh, it
loopholes and
is.
explanations for anything.
Well, considering in like 2020 we had that whole pink t-shirt resurgence, I fully believe there are pink Marines somewhere.
I mean,
Eventually you run out of colors.
even for practical reasons, some desert camo is pretty pinkish and gets
Well,
used.
Marines aren't meant, well,
Yeah.
not all Marines are meant to be stealthy. Look at the fucking Imperial Fists.
Oh yeah, yeah. A
They,
lot of them, it's just heraldry and look at me, I'm a big, brightly colored hero. I'm the center of attention. But
yeah, I mean,
there's plenty of explanations for why it would happen.
magenta, pink, we've gone very sideways. But yes,
We have
the
it
stuff
just
that people have
appears.
been the stuff that people have been sending me has been absolute nonsense.
Yeah,
And if it was coherent, it still wouldn't get to me. But can you imagine being someone that it would get to? That like
yeah,
someone who wrote this because they were deeply affected by it and they wanted to be heard and they put this out and these people were like, fuck you. And it's like, why would you want to hurt someone that badly over tiny little spacemen or tiny little orcs or Tau? No one ever campaigns on the behalf of Tau.
yeah,
I never have a Tau player going, fuck you, I don't want you in the hobby. Uh,
yeah,
they're just too busy being happy having Tau, you know?
yeah. Yeah, they're just like, hey, I built some sick mech suits. Come look at them.
Hey, look, I've got my not quite Gundams and my little frisbees, and aren't they wonderful? It's like, yes, please continue.
Yeah, I
Please keep
understand there's
making
a little
those.
bit of toxicity on the competitive side of it, but that's not something I know enough about to speak to.
I mean, I understand there are some tropes about, don't some of them have straw hats and stuff? I've never looked at the Talon.
Yeah, they're definitely.
A little bit of Orientalism
Listen to the
dipped
voice
in.
acting they give any of them in a video game or an audiobook, and it definitely raises some eyebrows, is what I'll say.
Oh, I haven't done that for the same reason that like I said, I've never listened to a White Scars book because the idea of listening to someone pretend to be Mongolian for 3 hours would just,
Yeah,
no, no, let's not do that. Let's just leave it alone.
yeah, that's what it is.
Oh dear.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a bit of that. It's a bit of that
Yeah.
going on. Like again,
I mean,
Games Workshop is not perfect or even good at a lot of things. Uh, but I don't know. I think that's why I started with Tau when I was 12. Is it was like, hey, here's you like Gundam, right? You like mechs. Here's a force with a lot of mechs, and also they're kind of the good guys. At least their
yeah,
first, at least their first codex.
they are the least shitty of the options.
Yeah.
That's not to say much anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rather than me continually rant about the shit I've been sent, I am grateful that people backed it. I am
Yeah.
kind of humbled by
And
one of the.
the
This
way to
ties into the abuse. Having said, I'm going to stop talking about it. One of the messages I got sent was, "You've just done this for self-promotion," and I was like, "What? I have tweeted once linking to this, and they're like, you've promoted it everywhere." I was like, "I haven't. I have not promoted it anywhere. I've posted about it on my own Twitter feed. I haven't posted it on Facebook. I haven't posted it on Reddit. I have not linked to it anywhere but people directly contacting me on Twitter." And it's like the reach it's had through people feeling it resonated with them and them showing it to somebody else is like it's really important. I'm really appreciative of that. I thought I was going to get maybe 100 people signing and it would die on its ass after about 2 days. So it's positive. It's a little bit frightening.
Yeah.
I am starting to get link throughs from websites that I don't think are sincere, and I think that's probably something to keep an eye on. And if it gets too far, I'm gonna have to pull the just close the signing form, which is
Yeah,
a shame. But like,
at some point, especially because it's set up where you have to manually review the
yeah,
entries.
that's
I mean, you don't give yourself that much unpaid labor. Like, find a cutoff
no,
date for it, announce the cutoff date, and wrap it up.
yeah. Like there was definitely a point where I was like, this doesn't deserve an hour of my time every night.
Yeah.
I'm not going to announce when I'm shutting it. I will have just done it at some point because otherwise I'll get people doing the last push to bother the shit out of me.
Yeah. You heard it, people.
You know.
Get your positive entries in now, and don't let any assholes know about
What is something positive we can talk about at the end of this rather than me just
it.
teasing the shit out of people? Oh, we can talk about that stupid game. Uh, so here's a upcoming thing for anybody who's
Oh
listening
yeah.
to this right now. There's a bunch of us on a very small Discord server who are artists, and we're going to do a version of 40k Drawfee, which if you don't know that format, someone gives you a description of something and you draw it, and then people try and guess what it was that you drew. So I've given bad descriptions of several 40k characters to so far I've given them to you and given them to someone called Silver Ruby. And there will also be Dicey June, Christina, and Shadefish taking part. And we'll get together at the end of the week and people will try and guess what each other drew. And that'll be made into a video. And I hope it's funny and I hope people enjoy it. Because some of the ways I've had to describe things, I think I. Was it you that I gave the description that he has a haircut of someone who works at Home Depot?
For me,
And you were
scroll
able to
back up
guess it?
and look at the three I got again.
I was like, how do I describe this guy? And it doesn't matter if the artist can guess who they're drawing. They just need to follow the very literal description. Let me find yours.
Um, yep, haircut to work at Home Depot, which is very funny because my brother worked in Home Depot for a while and he has long hippie hair, which I don't think is what you're imagining.
That's not a haircut, though. That's just hair. Like one of the ones I sent to Silver Ruby is he's just this little guy, like physically little,
Well,
and then describes what he's holding.
would it help you to outsource some of the descriptions? Because I could find three characters or minis and
I mean, you
write.
could do 3 for me, and then I could actually take part. I
All
had
right,
not thought of the fact that I can't do anything but host if no one describes things to me.
I'll do that.
But yeah, but basically, this should be a bit of fun, and it should be a bit of light-hearted humor. And the longest bit is going to be editing the video together, but it won't be difficult. And I hope people enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah. With that, I think I've taken about an hour of your time, and we should
Yeah,
maybe get
I
back to
just
your.
before we close, I'd like to just say that we spend a lot of time talking about the dickheads in this hobby, sending you dickhead shit. But genuinely, it's a cool hobby and a cool setting about making cool things and making weird things, and it's fun to share it with each other. And I was out of the hobby for a bit, and I slowly found my way back to uh, like the various online spaces where all the Warhammer nerds hang out, and it's genuinely overall a pretty cool community who makes some really cool shit.
Yeah,
Just
like I
like to say
realized we
that
spent
because yeah,
we did spend 20 minutes
like
shitting on idiots. I'm sorry,
yeah,
but
but
no. The thing that I've actually enjoyed about doing this letter is all of the little identities that people have written for themselves in the comment section where they've put their things. I've seen the names that people have chosen for themselves, and they found their niche. They found their thing that they love, and they've made that into part of their online handle. And I realize I'm saying this as someone with Commissar in my name, but that's like bad old habit. But there are some like you can see like that's the orc guy, that's the tower guy, that's the person who really loves painting scenery. And there was one that was called something like Googly Eyed Servo Skull that I have a real appreciation for. And it was just so sweet. Yeah, like find your niche. Pick the weird thing. Be the squat person or the person who loves shoulder pads. It's just there is a space for you.
Yeah, it's so fucking wide and weird and open.
Yeah,
And that's
like
what I really like about
I mean, at the minute I'm the person who gets yelled at, but I'd like to more be known as just the person who's reasonable to talk to about things without getting shouted back at. And little commissar hats, but that's something I'm unfortunately phasing out. Uh, like I've started moving towards doing Eldar stuff in my free time, and it's not that I don't like Guard. It's that from an outside perspective, that you know, it's got that certain look to it. I mean, I swing and roundabout on this. I may come back to it and be like, no, that's stupid. I'll carry on. But
it. I find it as useful as an artist who is trying to get commissions from different people about their different characters is not to play too much in one pond. But that is simply
yeah,
my professional advice. As if you are making, yes, find a niche that you excel at, but also show that because people are going to come up to you and they're going to go, hey, I know you're the person who draws Sisters of Battle all the time, but I like your stuff. I want to commission you. Can you draw a squat fighting a crew? And you're going to go, well, they got money in their hands, so I'll do it. But shit.
you vastly overestimate my willingness to do things. But yes,
I'm not saying specifically you. That's more just a general to other artists who are trying to make their way in this weird world.
yeah. I mean, the other one is like learn to shorthand your shapes. Like you did your Necron commission recently,
Yeah,
and I was like, that is so many lines to try and do quickly.
yeah. I mean, that's what the whole wide
There's a lot of
Marines
bones.
were exercising and just banging out Marines as fast as possible and as making fun, weird shapes.
I can do it faster by just drawing the head. That'll do.
Um,
Like, but shorthand your drawings by not drawing all of the picture. That works too.
and also, as much as I spoke today as a Warhammer nerd, don't fold all of your stuff into somebody else's IP that is owned by somebody else. Because
Yeah.
any one of these days, Games Workshop could get a new couple of people in the legal team, and they could decide we're going to be real fucking assholes, and then you're
It
screwed.
doesn't even need to be that. It can just be someone misinterprets what you're doing and they ask you to stop and you're obliged to. Like, it doesn't even have to be malicious. It can just be, we have misunderstood your shit posting. We think you're actually a damage to us. Stop doing it. And you have to, you know.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter that you weren't being an ass. It just, it's their ball to take home.
yeah, and
Which I don't, you know, I don't think that's a positive thing, but it
yeah,
is a thing that can happen to
I
people.
don't think it should be their ball to take home, but it is,
No,
and so
no.
I mean that's so always
It's
have
like,
your own independent project going, is what I'm saying.
yeah. We went very serious towards the end of this.
Yeah,
Anyway, I bid you good night, and I
yeah, it's late as hell there.
thanks for talking through this. I'm sorry my audio was probably dipped midway. It's because I knocked the headphones out of my phone.
It's all right. I can tell.
Good night, folks.
All right. Good night, everybody. I hope you had a good time.